What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. As I mentioned before in my last video, I said that I was working on a new Geo deck, and I finally have something to show you guys. I say new Geo deck, but honestly it just follows the same traditional exploration deck as the previous Geo decks, with just an addition of some of the new cards. The traditional card that I like to always keep in any Geo related exploration deck always has to have Geo Seeker of Truth. I absolutely love this card, and I still think it's a great card for its cost and the abilities that it has, but the true star of this deck has to be the Hideyoshi card. I mentioned before how much I absolutely love the new Crush feature and how overwhelming it is, and it can change the tide of battles. Honestly, Crush is such a ridiculously powerful feature. And I also decided to add Little Moly into this deck because I absolutely love the ability that it has of shifting your cards in between the lanes. And in these next two matches, you're going to see what I'm talking about on how amazing the passive and the abilities and how they come through in every single one of these battles. I added both of these blizzards just so I can just have my exploration count going. On the bottom blizzard, I try to use Hideyoshi. I try to time it perfectly where I can take the damage from the normal Tyrant and then crush his passive. Thankfully I got it, so I negated a lot of possible damage. And I used Trauma. Now right here, I should have used my Explore on Blizzard so I can get a new Trauma, but I was very hesitant on it. I think the reason why was because I didn't want my card to get destroyed and just use that passive and just, lose that card when I could have used it on some other card. But honestly, I feel like that kind of gave me like such an put myself in like really bad position because I was just kind of left with like all this AP and not having my ult to use. It became a little bit of, a little bit tough. But thankfully I managed to pull through because, like I mentioned before, Hideyoshi is a ridiculous card, especially with Ascension and also having, the Crush feature. This is what I'm talking about on how this just has such an overwhelming amount of force. Here I decided to use Hideyoshi again, use the passive, boom, mess up with Crush, but I just used Trauma just to be safe. And then I was left with this other BS. Leave some comments in this video and let me know what you guys think of Orochi, because personally I think that Orochi card is unbelievably overpowered. Like, I don't know how they just decided that was just a good idea to add this. Like, situation wise, especially against red decks, if you don't have a seal or a destruction card, you're just kind of left and just trying to chip as much possible damage on this card as you can. And depending on the situation, like if this guy had like a bunch of possible power-ups for this card, I could have just been slowly ticking away while this dude's murdering my whole board. And the way that this deck or that card in particular works with a lot of decks, it just allows the opponent to just try to throw as much as you possibly can at it while you're building up your mana. So by the time your opponent uses just about everything just to destroy that one single card, you have a lot of mana going on and you could fill up your whole board against it. So that's why I decided to use Trump card, because I said I can't let this go on any further. I have to use as much as I can right now and just start cracking at him before he builds up so much to the point that I can't even fight back at that point.
No, I can't. I can't let it end here.
So, like I mentioned before, Little Moly also being a great team player in this deck. Here comes, the true MVP of this. Boom, shifting in, taking the damage, and also taking the amount of possible damage I got to lost Ryuin. And now just concentrate on this card. I used Trauma just to be safe. I'm not gonna lie. I was scared that he was just gonna take that damage. I was gonna take one damage and Ryu was gonna be gone. I only have one other card left, so I really wanted to secure this. And right here, this is what I was talking about earlier about him allowing himself to stack up mana. This is what happens if you should start applying as much possible pressure, not allowing yourself to just allow yourself to build more MP to drop some big card, because it doesn't matter. Oroshi's still only going to take one damage, so I just try to apply as much possible pressure at a time. But at this point, Ryu is just too big. You know, 7 plus 5 extra damage. Like, there was no card that he could have besides that Orochi that could have countered this. So at this point, it was just pretty much GG, and I already knew I had this, but I'm not gonna lie, it was tough. And using that trump card was the only way out of this tough situation against Orochi with a red deck.
Looks like my tactics are having the desired effect. If nothing else, I hope you managed to find something easy for you.
I'll give you 5 minutes. Make them count.
So I stayed with this hand because I realized that I had Shingen, and I personally really like Shingen. That's definitely one of my new favorite growth cards that came out. Plus 2 points just for growth each level. I think that's really cool. And I realized that I had Carlos, so I said, well, you know what, if it all goes well, I can just stack him up and give him a lot of, you know, shield and damage. But no, here comes Destructive Instinct. I absolutely hate Destructive Instinct. I honestly can't stand that card. It's become very popular recently from what I've seen, and so because of that, I decided to use Family Feud to give it some more extra damage, so he takes an extra 6 amount of damage instead of possible 4. And then here, I make a really tough call, I'm not gonna lie. I love Ryu, and Ryu late game is unbelievably tough to just counter unless you have a Destruct card on it. I decided to use him here instead of using Hideyoshi because, like I mentioned, Hideyoshi is the true star of this deck. So make a tough call. Personally, this felt like a bittersweet type of reward because, boom, I get to use, you know, he uses that card. You know, cruel game that could have been very dangerous late game, but I also lose Ryu really short on in the start of the game, so it's kind of bittersweet, you know, bittersweet trade. So being aware that he has his ult, I decided to use Carlos so I can use Hideyoshi for Ascension because I knew that he was able to just destroy Carlos with his ult, so I decided to just play it safe and use Hideyoshi. So right here, I was trying to read him. I was trying to see what is he trying to do, you know, because I was wondering why is he trying to get rid of that card? Does he have like another destroy card, you know? So I try to play it safe here and just try to, you know, just be annoying and just try to destroy so he won't get health back. And, you know, kind of test it out. I didn't want to just start throwing out cards because I wasn't too sure. You know, you can never be too sure with black decks. They can have, it's too many possible cards that they can use to just clear out your whole board. So try to play it safe. And like I mentioned before, absolutely hate this card. So I decided, okay, well, great call that I didn't, you know, just start throwing everything at once. So I was capable of using Hideyoshi to its true effect and just start withering down and just breaking down this Orochi card. So I decided to ult Hideyoshi because I knew that no matter how much damage Hideyoshi is doing right now, it's only going to go back to 1. So I decided to just give him another shield to give him more health so I can start withering him down away. And knowing how much health he has now, and damage, I mean, 5 isn't really going to be doing much if it splits up between damage onto Hideyoshi and my health. So I knew that regardless, I'm still going to be able to come out of this clean and having a really strong card on the field regardless. He uses Sigma, so I said, nope, little moly. And then, seeing how much mana I had, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to drop another Hideyoshi, just start ramming down onto that Orochi regardless. This situation, it's all about reading your opponent, and because he decided to put a card in front of the Hideyoshi with 7 damage, it tells me that he doesn't have a card to clear the board. So because of that, he's going to start throwing a bunch of cards and just wasting a bunch of MP because he's trying to negate all the possible damage. If he did have a card that can clear the board, he wouldn't be doing that. He'll be slowly building up his MP and sacrificing some health. But it could be overwhelming when you have cards that are just going to dish out 7 or 6 damage on hit. Like, it's a tough situation. So at this point now, I knew that I had this game in the bag, and I knew that I was just going to win this game. There was no way for him to recover with all the amount of MP he's wasting right now. So at this point, I already knew this was just an easy dub right now. The surrender should be coming up soon, and right about now. Thank you very much for watching this video, guys. I'm going to have a new video up for you guys very soon. It's going to be a Rathalos growth deck, so look forward to that.